In today's video, we'll be revisiting 5 pivotal mistakes that left a lasting impact on history. From tragic miscalculations to overlooked details, these stories have captured the imaginations of people around the world for decades. But what if I told you that behind each of these events lies a simple mistake, a small oversight that changed the course of history? Here are 5 biggest mistakes in the history. Number 1, Stalin's reign of terror. Joseph Stalin's leadership of the Soviet Union during the Great Purge was characterized by repression, paranoia, and mass violence. Initially hailed as a champion of socialism, Stalin's grip on power became increasingly authoritarian as he sought to eliminate perceived threats to his regime. The Great Purge, spanning from 1936 to 1938, saw the widespread persecution and execution of political opponents, intellectuals, and military officials. Stalin's paranoia led to purges within the ranks of the Red Army, resulting in the removal of experienced commanders and the weakening of the Soviet military. The human toll of Stalin's reign of terror was staggering, with estimates of millions of deaths attributed to his policies of repression and violence. The pervasive atmosphere of fear and suspicion stifled dissent and left a lasting legacy of trauma and suffering. Stalin's authoritarian rule, marked by arbitrary arrests, show trials, and forced confessions, underscores the dangers of unchecked power and the erosion of civil liberties. His legacy serves as a stark reminder of the human cost of totalitarianism and the importance of safeguarding democratic principles. Number 2. The treaty lost in translation. Diplomatic relations between Italy and Ethiopia in the late 19th century were marred by misinterpretations and conflicting translations of the Treaty of Wuchalo. Signed between the two nations, the treaty aimed to establish peaceful coexistence and define their respective spheres of influence. However, a discrepancy emerged between the Italian and Amharic versions of the treaty, particularly regarding Ethiopia's autonomy in conducting external affairs. While the Italian version stipulated Ethiopia's subordination to Italy in external matters, the Amharic version suggested a more nuanced interpretation, allowing Ethiopia to maintain autonomy in certain diplomatic affairs. This linguistic ambiguity became a source of contention between Italy and Ethiopia, ultimately leading to conflict. Italy's assertion of control over Ethiopia's external affairs provoked Ethiopian resistance, culminating in the Italo-Ethiopian War. The conflict highlighted the importance of clear communication and mutual understanding in diplomatic agreements, as misinterpretations can have dire consequences. The Italo-Ethiopian War resulted in significant loss of life and marked a chapter of struggle for Ethiopian independence. The miscommunication surrounding the Treaty of Wuchale serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities of diplomacy and the need for precision in language and translation. Number 3. The fall of the Berlin Wall. In 1989, the Berlin Wall, the iconic barrier separating East and West, faced its demise in a twist of fate orchestrated by a politician named Luther Przewalski. With intentions to discuss minor adjustments to travel regulations, Przewalski's communication skills fell short of clarity. When questioned by an inquisitive journalist about the implementation timeline, his response left much to interpretation. With a vagueness that bordered on ambiguity, Przewalski inadvertently insinuated that the changes were immediate. The media, notorious for sensationalism, seized upon this nebulous statement and ran with it at breakneck speed. Like wildfire spreading across dry grass, the news spread rapidly, capturing the imagination of the masses. Suddenly, individuals from both sides of the divide found themselves drawn like magnets to the once forbidding border, now seemingly accessible. What began as a simple press conference morphed into a catalyst for unprecedented human movement and historical transformation. The Berlin Wall, a stark symbol of division and oppression, could not withstand the tidal wave of change unleashed by Przewalski's unwitting proclamation. As crowds gathered and momentum surged, the concrete barrier, once impenetrable, succumbed to the overwhelming force of human unity and determination. The collapse of the Berlin Wall became an indelible moment in history, marking the triumph of hope over fear and the end of an era defined by separation and strife. Number 4. Mars Climate Orbiter Oversight. The Mars Climate Orbiter mission, launched by NASA in 1998, aimed to study Mars's climate, atmosphere, and surface changes from orbit. However, the mission ended in failure on September 23, 1999, when the spacecraft disintegrated upon entering Mars's atmosphere. The primary cause of the Mars Climate Orbiter's failure was a navigational error, specifically a discrepancy in altitude calculations. This discrepancy arose due to the use of different measurement units by different teams involved in the mission. The spacecraft's navigation team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, used metric units, such as meters and kilograms, to calculate and communicate the spacecraft's position and trajectory. However, the spacecraft's manufacturer, Lockheed Martin Astronautics in Denver, Colorado, used imperial units, such as feet and pounds, in its software and documentation. As a result, when the Mars Climate Orbiter approached Mars, the navigation system failed to accurately determine its altitude above the planet's surface. This miscalculation caused the spacecraft to come much closer to Mars than intended, leading to its disintegration in the planet's atmosphere. The loss of the Mars Climate Orbiter was a significant setback for NASA, both in terms of scientific research and financial investment. The mission cost over $328 million, and its failure highlighted the importance of standardizing measurement units and ensuring clear communication between different teams working on complex space missions. Number 5. Chernobyl, a monument to human error. Over 3 decades ago, in 1986, Chernobyl experienced the worst nuclear disaster in history, stemming from a combination of reactor design flaws and human error. The resulting steam explosion and graphite fire released radiation equivalent to over 400 times that of the Hiroshima bomb, spreading contamination across Europe. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, established to contain the fallout, forced the evacuation of 120,000 residents, leaving the area largely uninhabited since. Despite initial dangers, efforts by the Chernobyl liquidators helped minimize radiation levels, though the hastily constructed sarcophagus meant to contain the reactor was only designed for 30 years. Facing the deteriorating sarcophagus and the risk of collapse, a monumental project ensued, resulting in the construction of the new safe confinement building. Completed in 2016, this structure encases the original sarcophagus, housing efforts to dismantle it and manage the radioactive material within. Despite progress, the long-term impacts persist, with thousands of cancer-related deaths estimated and economic costs amounting to hundreds of billions of dollars. The road to recovery for Chernobyl remains lengthy, with the area likely to pose hazards for decades or even centuries to come. As we conclude, let's reflect on the lessons learned from these historical blunders. Even in our most earnest endeavors, mistakes can occur, but it is through understanding and learning from them that we can progress as individuals and as a society. If you enjoyed what you saw, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more fun stuff. Oh, and don't forget to check out the More You Know channel too. Remember, knowledge leads to wisdom, respect, and consequently power. Peace out.